Whoa.
Hello, friends. I'm your host, Benton, and welcome to another episode of the Market Report. We're joined today by Jordan and Marcel. Jordan uses his background in psychology and human behavior to spot the emerging trends in the crypto markets, and Marcel uses his 17 years experience trading options and futures to spot the crypto derivatives markets. What's going on today, guys? How are we?
I'm doing all right. You're kind of blurry there, Ben.
Hey, what? Yeah, I've run into some technical difficulties today, so I appreciate everyone that's tuning in. What's going on this week? How are we feeling in markets in general?
Well, Jordan, I don't know about you, but last I checked, Fidelity, which is one of the top 5 global fund managers with over $4.2 trillion under management, is launching today the physical Bitcoin ETF in Canada. Okay, it's not US yet, but it's one of the biggest asset managers in the world, diving their hands directly with Bitcoin and managing a fund. So for me, that's incredible.
Yeah, there's a big developments going on in crypto, but there's some bigger developments going on in the larger world that I wish they would just stop happening so they can let our crypto market rally like we all want it to, but we'll see what happens.
We got
Are you there, Ben?
action-packed show today. Yeah, I can't.
See you all right. You're blurry, but we can hear you. That's good.
Well, I know we got a big show lined up today. We got Gareth Soloway coming on. We got Marcel's X news, talk to you about Bitcoin, show you all what's going on. Price act kind of sideways. So dive into a couple charts through some articles. If you haven't, go ahead and like and subscribe Cointelegraph on YouTube. And today we're going to be giving away $100 subscription of Markets Pro. So this is a free month of markets. We want to make sure that you drop your comments in the chat. We are going to be giving away a free month subscription of Markets Pro. Before we jump into our markets news segment, we have a little short clip roundup for what's happening around the Metaverse on crypto Twitter.
I feel bad for the PlanB guy because he nailed like 3 months in a row his predictions, and the first time he missed it, he said 98,000 by November month, and everybody's shouting at him. I don't think that's fair. His model is not like month-wise; it works on a longer time frame. So I don't think people should be really picking on him so that much. But
yeah, no models are perfect. No model is ever perfect over the long run. And there's lots of bigger events going on in the larger world, like we were mentioning, that just make it so that it ain't always going to go like we want it to go.
Agree. So jumping on the news segment, Danilo, can you share the first one of the Bitcoin correction? Hopes on Santa Claus could bring the rally. That's an interesting one. I can show you on my chart if you want. But basically, we're showing that there was a 15 to 20% pullback in November, and now markets are expecting a rally of up to more than 20% by year end. You can share my screen, Danilo, please.
Yeah, I've been saying, I would say for a long time, like when it comes to like everybody saying the same thing, it's most likely not going to happen. I think so many people have been saying that we're going to get to 100,000 by the end of the year, that nope, that's just not how it works. Like when everybody's thinking the same thing and something else is going to happen.
Yeah, but the question here, Jordan, is did the market enter a bear market after falling 20% from its all-time high? I think that's a big question here. What's your opinion?
Well, I don't know. The bear markets in the past have been a lot more than 20%. 20% is kind of like par for the course with Bitcoin. Like when you get like a 50 to 80% pullback, that's a bear market. Yeah, in the past run-ups and stuff, 20% was kind of like some of the more long-term holders wouldn't wait to really engage in the market till that 20% drop happened, because that kind of signaled to them like, now this rally is really, this cycle is really getting underway. But it's always a possibility. And again, if events in the larger world continue to put pressures on financial markets globally, it could continue to put pressure on the crypto market. But inflation on the other side, there's positives and negatives on both sides of the argument. So
yeah, there's an interesting comment in here which speaks exactly what you said from 8848 co-investor Nikita Rudenia. Despite the setbacks thus far, Bitcoin is on track to $70,000 per coin. And I agree, maybe we're not going to reach it in December, maybe in February, but we're on the right track. Bitcoin is a scarce asset, and Congress is desperate. They just approved another $1.75 trillion budget, so inflation is not going to ease in the U.S. Thank you, Danilo.
Yeah, all the things that are kind of propping up the price of Bitcoin just keep getting worse, and all the things that make it more valuable, scarcity and stuff, continue to be true. So the long-term value prospect of it hasn't changed at all. It's just noise in the background and events in the world, but we're all kind of heading the same track as we all been.
I just want to highlight before we jump to the second news with Benton is that on December 8th, the U.S. Senate is holding a hearing on digital financial innovations, but they invited all the CEOs from exchanges and stablecoins like Sam from FTX, Coinbase CEO, Paxos, Circle. So we know that they're going to discuss stablecoin regulations in some form. I think market is a little bit scared right now, which is also causing the drop. So back to you, Benton.
Yes, glad to be back, guys. Sorry about that. No, so we were talking about Bitcoin. I'm super excited about what's happening next, especially heading into the end of this year. But I also want to talk some like worst case scenarios. And starting out December, kind of in the sub 57K. Is this concerning for Bitcoin's price? Or are you all still just as bullish as you were maybe a month, 2 months ago? Marcel, what do you think?
I'm not as bullish as I was like right before the ETF, the derivatives ETF approval in the United States, because I was expecting a heavier inflow by institutional investors. So the ETF gathered, I think, $2 billion worth in a week, which is a record. But I was expecting much more, if you ask me, by then. So right now, I think investors are too afraid of regulations and uncertainties, especially on stable coins, which might or might not make sense. We're going to discuss that later on in my expert segment. But I'm not that optimist right now for the short term.
Yeah, I'm not, or I guess I'm still as bullish as I've always been, but I have a different perspective. I'm not like the uber bull, like $100,000. I'm like, we're going to steadily go up. I would prefer it if the market cycles actually extended a little bit and we kind of had a slower pace up, because that kind of puts more support under it and seems less volatile. But I still long-term bullish. Short-term, I don't know. Again, that's why I'm always telling people to take some profits, because then you get this kind of crap. And I got some free money on the sidelines to put into things if I want. Well, most people are like, dang it, I'm poor again. I got to go work at McDonald's.
Always got to have that extra splash cash on the sidelines, just in case we get any dips like we saw, just a week or two ago. Danilo, I don't know if you can pull up the article that's referring to PlanB here. The Bitcoin fails worst case scenario monthly close for the first time. I do want to bring up the point, like, PlanB's floor model, not the same as a stock to flow model, is he has hit the nail on the head 3 months in a row with his price predictions, except November. November was the first month where this price floor prediction of 98K did not hit. How closely do you all pay attention to this when there it is, Plan B? Speaking about this, is this something that you all kind of look at as like a bellwether for the markets? Do you take this into account at all? Marcel, what are your thoughts about Plan B kind of missing the mark here?
Yeah, we kind of covered that earlier, but speaking in a broader sense of
Sure.
any models that uses on-chain analysis specifically. As Jordan said, the market is in cryptocurrency, especially, it changed a lot. So when a new investor, such as Tesla or such as MicroStrategy, comes in and hoards $2 billion worth of Bitcoin, it changed the game entirely because there are like 900 Bitcoins issued every day. And if one of these guys buy 120,000, just like MicroStrategy did in less than a year, it changed the history. It changed the course of Bitcoin.
Mm.
And that's going to continue to happen forward and surprise us. So I don't think a model that looks for the past 10 years is going to predict what the price is going to be in 1 year. I don't think so.
That's a good point. I mean, Jordan, what are your thoughts around what happens once countries like El Salvador start to wake up and start to pile in to Bitcoin like Microsoft? We've seen, this happen with smaller countries, but what happens once bigger countries start doing that and start monopolizing their holdings in Bitcoin? Is that a concern at all?
I don't think it's a current. I think that'll be like the real like onboarding of mass adoption. But that to me, that's not going to be that great of a world. We're all crypto people are like, yeah, what's going to be why would that happen in the world? It's because the US dollar's tanking and like the world's going to shit. That's why. So like these things that we are actually looking for, it's not going to be this beautiful transition, folks. It's going to be kind of rough and tumble. We're going to be turning out all right in the end. But yeah, I don't think like they're not going to. Most countries are still trying to stay on the good side of the U.S. and that's why a lot of crypto projects are trying to be able to qualify for like passing securities laws and stuff in the U.S. because U.S. is still the big dog in the world as far as financial markets and security. So I think it's going to be a while before those big, larger companies actually make that move and say, you know what, U.S., we ain't taking your dollar anymore. We're going to use Bitcoin because that's throwing down the gauntlet for like the game of risk and World War kinds of things. So,
but wait, Jordan, it's a different thing. Like from Amazon saying, okay, guys, if you want to pay in cryptos, I'll accept cryptos. I'll pay the vendor in cryptos. I'm not going to convert it automatically, so you can buy and trade stuff using cryptos. Or Amazon, for example, saying, well, I have $100 billion sitting on my reserves. I'm going to use $10 billion to buy Bitcoin. It doesn't really tell the US, screw you, I don't trust the dollar. It's something that is going to happen. I don't know if it's in 6 months or 6 years, but the trend shows us that even Amazon and Facebook and the big companies use Bitcoin as a reserve and accept Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins as a means of payment.
If countries start trading Bitcoin for oil, that's when we've entered a new paradigm. That's when it really switches over.
So I do want to bring up one last topic here while we're on this subject is how big of an impact did Omicron coronavirus announcement, the first couple cases starting in South Africa, how big of an impact did that have on the markets, if at all? Marcel, what is your take on that?
I think every time investors are getting more savvy. So the first time that's, for example, March 2020, when the global markets dropped and Bitcoin crashed down to sub $4,000, it took us months to recover. Then the next variant or the next bad news, it took a couple of weeks. And this time around, it took less than 2 days to recover from the drop from 59,000 to 54,000 and now back to 58. So I think investors are getting more savvy and they understand that those variants or whatever governments are trying to do does not change the dynamics of Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Yeah, I agree with Marcel. Like if you look at this timeline and how go back to what was it, March of 2020, when the whole world's markets just boom, when they like COVID's bad, and then like it happened again. And this time it was like COVID's bad, and then 2 days later the market was back up. Like no, COVID's not that bad. So I think it's again, this is the propaganda. This is the media. This is how they control certain messages. They can control a whole lot. They can't really ban cryptos or do any of that stuff. So they control it via news headlines. If people haven't kind of wised up to that fact, they can totally sway 70% of the population away from cryptos for even just another year. through the news, and that's what's going on with me. But again, I use a lot of these opportunities to buy the dip. So
Yeah, we've seen this happen before. We saw it originally with coronavirus, like Marcel was saying, steep drop, then Delta variant, and now Omicron. It's like I think we've been there. We've seen that. We got a T-shirt, and if you're smart and you kind of notice the previous trends, like I would think that's a buying opportunity. So that's my take on the whole Omicron thing.
Wait.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
have that? Do you have that T-shirt? Are you selling?
I got that T-shirt. It's like, hey, I saw the coronavirus dip 3 times, and I bought the dip 3 times. Yeah, but the hottest topic recently in crypto though has been the metaverse, and I know we have an article we're going to dive into today. Like, is this something that you all are considering? Like, how valuable is this real estate inside of the metaverse market? Jordan, I know you like to kind of dabble with the NFTs and metaverse sometimes, but like, what are your takes? There was $106 million worth of metaverse just sold last week. And Danilo, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the article while we chat about this, Jordan, what say you?
I think especially since Facebook did the whole meta switch over, like the metaverse is coming into the consciousness of the society, but people need to realize this is still going to take years for this all to develop. I mean, there's not even that many users on Decentraland. I think I've seen Marcel rant about that several times. But like what's actually in it's like trying to go out and establish land plots early in the United States history. Like, here's your acre, go out and survive kind of thing. There ain't much on there. You're gonna kind of be wandering around these digital landscapes by yourself for a while. But yeah, in a few years, it's going to be kind of Ready Player One level, maybe in 10 years, but it ain't right now. So there's a lot of hoopla around it now. Most of these prices will probably crash when we hit a next bear market, which is when I might actually start looking into getting them. So I know that it's a lot of hype right now, but there's not a lot of substance in there for people to actually stay engaged yet. So it's just hype at this point.
Yeah, if you go back to 2018, I remember clearly when IOTA, an altcoin, which doesn't even use blockchain, announced a series of partnerships with Porsche, with BMW, with Microsoft, and whatever, and people were following into the coin without even know if it was feasible, what the Internet of Things would benefit from cryptos effectively, what projects were already in place. But it was just a bunch of announcements. And recently I saw in the Metaverse Adidas saying that it was going to partner with blah, blah, and whatever. So as Jordan said, okay, you can have a virtual stand. You can have your virtual shoes that can sell for thousands of dollars for collectors. But in fact, how many users are using those Metaverse? How many users right now are demanding those services? It's tiny, yeah. Might grow to 1 million in 2 years, but right now, for the next 6 months, I can't see growth for that. It's just hype.
I would agree with all points. With the exception is I think what's happening inside of that marketplace in particular, in the metaverse, is they're trying to transition the traditional gamers on the PCs, on the Xboxes, on the PS5s, and get them into a blockchain gaming ecosystem first, because the transition to the metaverse is going to be that much easier. So from like a market's perspective, I think there's a lot of potential in the metaverse. It's gonna unfold very slowly, and it's gonna be a slow build. And there's definitely, if we get hit with the overall bear market, I think it could have impacts inside the metaverse space as well. So very, very kind of fascinating stuff right now.
If that's what they're trying to do, they better not do it on Ethereum, because the gamer's gonna be like, "What the heck is this slow ass crap, man?"
Does not. Yeah.
What's I can't even remember what was before, like the Atari, and then was like a something 60, not Nintendo 64. There was it's like an old gaming. It's like janky,
Sega.
Man. Yeah, Sega. Even before that, there was one I can't even remember. That's how long ago it was.
Atari Jaguar, the 128 bit. I was the only buyer of that crap in the world. But I'm gonna have to defend Ethereum a little bit over here, because there are already layer 2 solutions in place. So yeah, you pay a hefty fee for your first acquisition, for your first transaction, but then the game happens on layer 2. There's Avalanche, there's a bunch of those layer 2 solutions right now. So yeah, it's not ideal, but it works.
Exactly. Fascinating market news this week. A lot of stuff happening. Hopefully in the next 30, 60 days before the end of the year, we'll see Bitcoin is trending sideways, kind of consolidating. What will be the next move? Leave your comments in the chat. We want to hear, do you think Bitcoin's going to be above 60K by the end of December? Type it in the chat. Let us know. And we know Marcel's fan club is definitely in attendance today. So make sure you're chiming in. Don't forget, we're giving away 1 month of Markets Pro. Those people that are leaving good questions, chiming in, giving us the great answers, we're going to select one person today, and that could be you. So make sure you're doing that. You're leaving the messages in the chat. If you're interested, 20% off. Description below. Make sure you are chatting it up in the chat room today. We'd love to see it. So let's go ahead and get in with Gareth Soloway today. Super excited to chat with him again. I know he was walking us through a lot of charts, so today hopefully he'll be able to do the same.
Oh, he's not here. He hasn't.
Gareth, he's not here today. Do we want? Oh man. All right. Let's do.
I got a special segment set up just for this special or this occasion because Gareth isn't here. So we're gonna.
Let's do it then, Jordan.
I don't know if there's got an intro. Do we got an intro, Daniil, or we're just gonna jump right into this? I think we could just jump right. Oh, this is like the old school. We got 2 expert takes in this one. All right, guys. So this is kind of more impromptu, but when I was just mentioning. Like it ain't gonna happen on Ethereum. One network that hasn't really gotten much play lately that I think is actually one of the more solid networks out there is Cosmos, and I think that as the whole ecosystem grows, because the whole Cosmos ecosystem, similar to Polkadot, how they wanted to make an interoperability kind of feature for Ethereum. Cosmos has the IBC chain, which is inter blockchain communication. So their whole gig was to try and make it so that a bunch of different chains can kind of all specialize in what they want, but connect together. If you could share my screen, Daniil, I just want to show up this article that we had on Cointelegraph a little while ago. As you can see here, we'll see about 200 chains connected through Cosmos IBC next year, says Tendermint CEO Peng Chong. So yeah, there's already quite a few different well-known projects on Cosmos. Cosmos is spelled itself, and then there's projects like Persistence, which is one that I'm big on. You got the Secret Network, which used to be on Ethereum, which used to be called Enigma, but has transferred over to Cosmos. And there's other ones, IrisNet. But I just think that because, like, we've seen Phantom blow off because of their ability to communicate with Ethereum and offer higher throughput and lower transaction fees. We've seen Polkadot and Kusama get a lot of attention because of their parachain auctions. We've seen Avalanche take off and all these have also done these big like $100 million development funds and stuff like that. But the one ecosystem that hasn't really taken off yet is Cosmos. So I just kind of want to put it out. You can stop sharing my screen there, Daniil. I want to put it out on everybody's radar just to kind of keep an eye on. And yeah, what do you guys think about the interoperability feature of cryptocurrency? What is that?
Yeah, that was I was going to question you that. I see 2 concerns here. First of all, I hear that there's 10 interoperability blockchains or products being laid out. As you said, Cosmos, Polkadot, there are quite a few of them. So how do they differentiate? And if Ethereum 2.0 successfully launches over the course of the next 6 months or whatever, will that be even necessary in the future?
Will it be? Is it going to successfully launch? Those are ifs. Like, again, this is Cardano, who was getting smart contracts for years. They've been talking about the scalability of Ethereum for years as well. And that, I don't know how good that's going to be. Is it going to be what we're all expecting it to be when they switch over to ETH 2.0 and proof of stake? Is it going to be is it going to compete with a Phantom or these other proof of stake networks that are already there? Like, if you want to get, like, one of my more like internal thoughts about this was even with Bitcoin and Ethereum, we're having all these different protocols having to be built on top of them to facilitate how they operate. Ethereum needs a layer 2 solution to do this. Bitcoin needs stacks or something like this to bring smart contracts on top of Bitcoin. It doesn't seem to me that in the future, the world chosen blockchain will need multiple layers like that just to function. It will be a simple one blockchain capable of processing all that. One project I actually like is Algorand, because of how it has a lot of it's capable of doing it on its layer 1 interface. It hasn't been tested in the same throughput as Ethereum has, but I'd be curious to see what happens with that because it's pure proof of stake and stuff. But I don't think that it's going to have to take layers of scaffolding just to make it so that transactions aren't really expensive for the world chosen blockchain. I don't know. Oh, we can't hear you, man.
I was gonna say I'm gonna jump in here because I have been absolutely dabbling with so many blockchains recently, and I think what's gonna happen is you're gonna start to see this spider web of bridges from chain to chain to chain happen, and we've seen it happen with the evolution of Polygon, with BSC, with ETH, and it's just gonna become this giant interconnected highway system, and maybe the Cosmoses of the world are going to kind of be the on-ramp for a lot of folks. But I think like each chain offers its own kind of incentives and it has its own features. And it's very tribal people. Like if you're on Avalanche, you love Avalanche. But it doesn't mean you can also not like Kronos and Harmony or some of these other chains. So I think it's going to be a giant spider web of chains that all kind of interconnect through these bridges.
I'd like to see what our users think about their favorite chains. Do they like to transact on Ethereum and pay $50 per transaction? Or have they kind of ventured away from that? Or are they just like, we're not doing anything because we're too scared to go to the other networks, but we don't want to pay
exactly.
money on.
Tell us your favorite chains. Where are you staking? Where are you doing your DeFi? Tell us where you're doing all that stuff in the chat. We want to hear.
That's the other thing about Cosmos. I'm going to get back to Cosmos. Like if the Kepler wallet, KEPLR, you can easily stake most Cosmos-based coins through the Kepler wallet really simply. Like every coin on the network is stakeable pretty much. And they've also put in other fail-safes. Like if when you unstake, it does take 21 days. That might turn some people off. But as far as tokenomics and the helping to maintain a stable token value, that's a benefit in my opinion. I don't know. There's just lots of things with the Cosmos ecosystem I think are underrated. And as one of the traders I watch on my Telegram, I'm like, man, this guy's like, I've been in Cosmos for so long, and the market tanked. He's like, dang it, I'm underwater, but I'm still holding on. And he's like, oh, I'm holding strong because I think Cosmos is a really legit ecosystem, and it hasn't gotten the attention that other ones have, but I think it will in the future. Yeah, like Elrond did a $1.2 billion investment thing. So yeah,
let's see what we're working with here. I'm gonna throw down some VWAPs. Let's get some live, chart action. I mean, this is on the 4. Let's zoom out. Let's see what we got. Let's check the daily. I mean, look at this SMA here. It seems to be kind of like going in an uptrend when you zoom out. Little consolidation. I don't know.
What was the top for that?
This looks like the top was at
45.
Yeah, about 45. Huh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I remember.
You're still confident after dropping from 45 to 25?
Yeah. I think if it's sitting in these channels here, I mean, you could see a bounce off this lower VWAP, and it kind of fluctuates in between this wedge. But I mean, you can see in this wedge here, it looks like it's in an uptrend.
Well, this is also the game here. Like we were mentioning this before the show, Benton, how like we've had really good projects and then they weren't doing anything, so we sold them, and then they shot up and we were like went into something that didn't. Like I know Marcel, you're like, you still confident in this? I'm like, it's got good tech. Long-term fundamentals are good. Like there's a lot of dicey stuff going on in the markets right now, but in my opinion, in my experience, the best long-term approach is to find solid projects with good backing, hold them long-term, and try not to pay attention to the price movements in the short term, because the crypto market's got a lot of stuff going on, lots of news and all that stuff, but solid projects are going to be the survivors. Which one's going to be around in 5 years? I'm pretty sure Cosmos still will be.
Our viewers disagree with you. You're saying Lawson White, Polygon, Bright Fish.
I see
Phantom,
I see Phantom.
Tezos. I don't hear anyone, or even friends I usually talk to, talking about Cosmos.
Exactly. How did I start the segment, Marcel? I said, I'm going to talk about one that's getting underappreciated that nobody's talking about. Of course, people are talking about Polygon. It's almost trying to run to a new all-time high. Phantom's gone from like cents to dollars this year. Of course. But I'm just saying, Cosmos has got a lot of stuff going for it. A lot of good fundamentals. Projects are migrating over to the network. Crypto.com, they just signed with the stables. Yeah, they're migrating to Cosmos too. Yeah, all these things. So like, what?
But doesn't Crypto.com, didn't they have a hand in like launching Chronos though? It's like their own blockchain.
Yeah, but they're still going over to crypto.org. They're turning into crypto.org and they're migrating to Cosmos. Yeah, they launched their own chain, but they're migrating to Cosmos. What does that tell you?
It's been around for forever. And so, like, I mean, there's something there with Cosmos.
Yeah. I
Definitely
just wanted to bring it into again. That's not investment advice. I'm not saying it's going to go to the moon. I'm just saying it's a project that I like personally, that I think has really good fundamentals. There's going to be a lot of other protocols that become launching inside of its ecosystem, and just want to keep an eye on. But I also like Lost in White. Also might like Tezos. I like Tezos. They're trying to do the NFT thing. We'll see how that works out for them. And I like Polygon as a layer 2 solution for Ethereum. Polygon is my choice.
I'll disagree with Jordan. I don't know Cosmos that well, but I'll pick the 3 or 4 that have been training over the past month, not in terms of price, but Twitter activity and etc. You can use CT Pro for that. Benton's going to talk about the product in a few, but I like the ones that are getting more activity from the general public.
Why did they get activity from the general public, though? What's the one thing all these projects have done in the last, 3 months?
Marketing.
That Cosmos didn't do. They launched, $1 million development liquidity funds, things to draw liquidity to them. They've incentivized people having activity on them. Phantom did, I can't even remember. I was 300 million Phantom or something. They've all had to, bribe people to go into them. So Cosmos hasn't gotten the play because they haven't done that. But I just think they're solidly building in the background. So that's just my opinion. I'm not saying you're wrong, but
guys, I'm going to switch back to my phone. So if you
I think that the layer 2 foundations and Ethereum competitors right now are in a huge opportunity. The price, of course, the price is going up because, as you said, Ethereum fees is at $50, and no one want to transact on that. And we have NFTs, we have Metaverse. It's not just DeFi. If you are moving $1 million on DeFi or $200,000 on DeFi, you don't care about paying 50 fees. You want the best API. You want the best liquidity. But if you're just trading NFT cards, if you're just playing some Metaverse game, you want speed. You want cheap transactions. So yeah, layer 2 solutions still have room to go up.
And I wanted to get your opinion on something, Marcel. What do you think? Do you think that all these other platforms, NFT projects and stuff launching are kind of hindering the ability for Bitcoin to really do those big moves like everybody's expecting? Maybe if they didn't have so much other opportunities out there, a lot of that money would have actually gone into Bitcoin and we would have been to 100,000 by now.
Well, I think they compete directly. I think gaming market is something, the Metaverse, especially for corporations and for advertising, is another stuff, and Bitcoin doesn't compete with that directly. As for the DeFi segment, yeah, Bitcoin and DeFi have a lot of interrelationship, but it's already possible to wrap your Bitcoin up in our Binance chain and use those in DeFi. So if there's demand for it, Bitcoin are going to be used for that.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're headed into a multi-chain future, obviously. I know saying Martyr over here doesn't quite agree with us. He's saying that all the S coins are going away, but I don't. That's not how human population works. Again, I'm the psychology guy. There ain't never gonna be one thing for all humans. We don't function that way. I know myself, when a whole bunch of other people start doing, even if it's something I like, if everybody else starts doing it, I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna do the opposite. Just it's my own personality kind of a thing. So I don't think all the shit coins are gonna go away, and I don't think that Bitcoin is gonna be the one to rule them all forever. But it's an interesting journey that we are traveling along here on the crypto road, and I'm happy to be doing it with all of you.
That's right. Did you guys already do Markets Pro?
No, we're gonna head to Markets Pro right now. Send it.
Let's do it. Let's do it, guys. right. For those who aren't familiar with Markets Pro, we're going to familiarize you with it today. It's got some awesome features. The first one we're going to dive into today is the Newsquake feature. If you haven't seen this, what it does is it gives you automated alerts that instantly notify you, and it's about market moving events. So, for example, today we're going to show you, Danilo, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the chart for Shiba Inu. This one absolutely ripped. And for those who have been in SHIB, we've talked about SHIB before. It's been down. And then all of a sudden you caught a newsquake because guess what? Kraken listed it. And that's the power of having Markets Pro in your pocket. You get these alerts and just boom, you can act on it quick. That bottom circle there on the bottom, that is a newsquake. And look at that red line. It was up big time. And so that's what happens. It went from 4 zeros, 3.9 at the time, all the way up to 4 zeros, 5.4. So that's within 20 hours. That's about a 38% increase. So that's the Markets Pro Newsquake feature. And so when it comes to the next feature of Markets Pro, it's going to be the Vortex score. And we're going to highlight Luna, which had an awesome Vortex score. And this one actually did a little double run. So a coin's Vortex score, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a comparison between the current market and social conditions and those in the past. And so a high score means that judging from historical data, the asset's current outlook is bullish for the next 12 to 72 hours. So Luna had been an upward price trajectory. If you see here on that chart, had the first little run up for much of the week, and then it had a second streak. And the Vortex score actually anticipated that second leg up. So you can kind of see where that Vortex score peaked for the second time. And then we had a second leg up with that pricing there on the white line. So on November 25th, the Vortex score reached 83. It shot from 42.53 and then fell back to $38. Yet things were still looking bullish. And then on November 29th, it breached $50 once it reached that 83 Vortex score. So you can see it's a little bellwether. You like to have that in your pocket. I just love to go through these charts and dissect, Luna, Shiba Inu. Sure, those are tokens that a lot of folks are in. So you want to be able to kind of monitor those things and have that power in your pockets. Why we're giving away a 1-month subscription today for those that are chiming in the chat. We want to hear, have you had a great experience with Markets Pro? Why don't you leave your comments in the chat today? So yeah, that's going to be our Markets Pro segment, our Coin Watch for this week. I know Marcel's got some awesome stuff to talk about today regarding some stablecoins and possible regulations that you're going to want to stay tuned for. So let's jump into Marcel's expert segment.
Okay, guys. So as I previously said, we're going to have this hearing on US on December 8th, which will invite the CEO of the exchanges and stablecoin issuers. Multiple subjects will be discussed, but of course, regulations as at the center of discussion between the US House and US Senate. There are over 20 bills being analyzed right now to regulate the sector in the US. It's a complete mess. It's not just in the United States. In Brazil, we have like 5 bills coming out together. So different views and different ideas for that. But what I think that is pressuring the market right now is the ETF rejection, but not the ETF rejection, the physical ETF rejection per se, but the reason that the SEC gave to deny it. They said market manipulation and fraud or, wrongdoings on stablecoins, especially on Tether. So it gave a name to the stablecoin that they want to drastically regulate. And both the Janet Yellen and the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, also expressed their concerns with and urged the Congress to create a regulatory framework. So that's what's waiting on the market right now.
So it seems like a lot of people talk about like regulating Bitcoin, but it seems like regulators actually are more concerned about stable coins, and that's where their focus is kind of going with that. Is that kind of true?
Yeah, I think so, Jordan. I think after China tried to ban Bitcoin and failed miserably over 6 times already. Jordan, I want to share my screen, please. So we're gonna show a chart with an open interest on futures contracts, all coins, not just Bitcoin. So yeah, there was a huge drop on May and June when China started to expel the miners and close the P2P transactions. So it went down to $20 billion worth of futures contracts in crypto. So yeah, there was a great impact short term, but like 6 months later, we're back to $48 billion. So it's double before or at the crash caused by the Chinese actors, the Chinese regulators. So I don't think that I think that the U.S. Thank you, Danilo. I think that the U.S. government understood that they cannot regulate Bitcoin. Even Hillary Clinton, the former presidential candidate, was saying out loud that in her view, Bitcoin poses a risk to the U.S. dollar stability and hegemony. So I think, yeah, regulators are going to focus on stablecoins because it's easier, and the companies and the issuers are mainly in the United States. So we have Paxos, you have USD Circle, so through US dollar, so it's easier for them to go to the stablecoins.
What kind of effect do you think that will have on the market when they kind of introduce those kind of regulations with stablecoins?
That's the big question. A lot of people were afraid of the huge meltdown on the decentralized finance, the DeFi sector, because in the past, the DAI stablecoin, which is supposedly decentralized, was 60% backed by USD coin, which is centralized, issued by Circle, which has Coinbase as one of the backers. So yeah, strong regulation in the stablecoin sector in the past would be very harmful for DeFi. But the DAI stablecoin changed over the course of the past 4 or 5 months. It's backing, and it's now mostly backed by Bitcoin and Ethereum, only 13% by USD coin. So worst case scenario, okay, so stablecoin issuers cannot operate in the United States anymore. Those companies, those issuers can do the same thing that Tether did. Just move out, just sell out to a shell company or create another company abroad and continue to operate. They don't need to hold the physical dollars in bank accounts. They can use any assets or any government bills or any yield providing opportunity in dollars. So they won't be illegal in that sense. So I don't think there's a great risk here. But surely the sellers, the guys who wants to make the market drop, will always pick up those headlines and say, wow, government's going to try to regulate stablecoins, so it's the end for Bitcoin and cryptos, it's the end for DeFi, but it's not like that.
So, I guess my question, Marcel, is is there a stablecoin that is safe from regulation? Is there a single one of them?
In theory, the DAI is one of those because they closed the company and decentralized the protocol using the maker as the token for government's proposals. So there's no longer a single company that it's backing maker or that it's responsible for DAI, but there are other options out there. Maybe Jordan knows some of them, but I don't think they can handle the $150 billion worth that's currently sitting on Tether, Paxos, true US dollar, USD coin. I don't think they're ready for that yet. What do you think, Jordan?
I think we're headed to a new paradigm, like completely different. Like they can't look. They used to have control of the money system because they controlled SWIFT. They don't control Ethereum network. They don't control the Bitcoin. They don't control any blockchain network. So that anything that they say is like a paper tiger. They can't do anything. They VPN. What? Where am I at? You don't know. They can't do anything. They rely again on propaganda and news headlines to make sure people they mind screw people to not use cryptos, because otherwise people are like, man, screw that money. Again, they don't have SWIFT, so they can regulate it, and people can be like, that's nice, I'm going to use a VPN, and then it's just disappeared. So yeah.
So I to dovetail into that point though, Jordan, it's like what starts to happen when these stable coins or other coins are no longer tied or pegged to the dollar? It then becomes pegged to a different asset class.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. I've made videos about this. Like, this is a fun game we're playing right now. because we all gonna have to decide what one is. This is a tricky proposition. We all, as a global society, we want to trade and transact things, right? But we've all just grown up with the U.S. dollar as the one. How are we going to establish a new one? I think, like, this is my thought. I had this thought like a year ago. I'm like, man, they're just going to keep releasing stable coins. They're going to kind of confuse it. It's not the U.S. dollar. They're going to give them different names. So eventually, everybody's just so confused. We're like, they're all one, and we're going to kind of move away from the U.S. dollar being that one, but it's going to be like this crypto one, because where does that come? This is like a new thing for all of us alive right now. We've never been in a situation where they're trying to create a world currency as a one stable thing. So it's an interesting thing to watch it evolve.
The euro was an experiment. It gathered, I don't know, 20 countries in Europe using the same currency. It's an experiment that dates, I don't know, 22 years ago. And Bitcoin is like 12 years old. So it's not much older than Bitcoin, and it's not working. The euro has lost, I don't know, 70% of its value over the course of those 20 years. So it's a failed experiment. I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah. Well, let's find out. I would love to see what that would look like, is maybe not having a US dollar reserve currency. I guess the future will tell us. For those watching, chime in. Let us know your thoughts. What else could the world decide to have that one currency be? Is it going to be Bitcoin? Let us know. If you have any other questions for us, pop it in the chat. While we're kind of waiting for folks to answer or ask questions here, do you all want to go ahead and pick our winner for the Markets Pro 1 month subscription today? I can't pull up the chat here on my phone, but
Bento, I just wanna answer a question from Not Corgi. He said,
sure.
USDC, so USD coin, seems safe because US regulators like them. No, US regulators don't like any of the stable coins. Jeremy Allaire is a nice guy and stuff, but no, the US dollar wants complete control. They want to issue their own CBDC, and they want to make the stable coins useless because in their mind, once they have a crypto version of the dollar or a digital asset version of the dollar, there will be no longer need for stable coins. But we know that's not true.
That's a great point. Because you look at what China is doing with their CBDC, and it's like they're trying to control and manipulate their money supply and all that kind of stuff. And so it's like, with the US, will the US create a CBDC? I don't know. I'd rather use decentralized stable coins. That's just my 2 cents.
Well, I think with the USDC, if I think about like the overarching models, like China is a communist socialist country. US has been more private focused. Like, what if they're kind of allowing the private sector to start the stable coin for the US? Like, I think USDC might have one of the biggest chances of becoming a stable coin for the US, just because it's like the private sector, it's already out there. The US has been lagging behind on the whole digital currency thing. So like, to catch up with it, they might adopt more of a private route just because it's, capitalist nature and all that stuff. I don't know. That's just one thought that I've had about it.
Do we have any other questions that came in? Go ahead, Marcel.
No, I have a user comment on YouTube that was a great insight from Don Patrick. He said, balanced views, like we have an extended BTC market run as futures ETF battles in spot and more large whales and countries accumulate. So market structure is different. So yeah, I agree 100% with Don Patrick. I think that the market structure in 2021 is different from 18, 19, mostly because maybe big companies or even countries such as El Salvador are accumulating. So I vote for Don Patrick's comment.
Did Big Don just win? Did Don just take home the 1 month subscription?
I think so.
What do you guys think?
That sounds good to me. If he's still here.
All right.
And here,
Don.
Yeah.
Don Patrick, go ahead and pop in your Twitter handle in the chat. We're going to reach out from you from Cointelegraph's Twitter. We're going to slide in the DMs and we're going to give you that 1 month subscription to Markets Pro. And we appreciate you leaving your insights. That's as simple as it gets, folks. If you're watching, you can get Markets Pro subscription just like that, just for watching and leaving an awesome comment like that. For the rest of you that tuned in today, we appreciate it. and we hope to see you back next week. Guys, closing
Jordan
thoughts
has
here
a
before
comment.
go ahead.
I just wanted to just tying back. I want to point out this one. UST from Luna is a rising stablecoin, and also Magic Internet Money from Abracadabra. If you're looking for more decentralized stablecoins, check those ones out. So yeah.
So Luna, UST from Luna, or
UST from Luna, and
what the other
MIM, Magic Internet Money, MIM.
Oh, MIM. Yeah.
From
I've heard of MIM.
Okay.
Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Check those ones out. If you want more decentralized stablecoins, check those out. Okay.
No, aren't those algorithmic stablecoins? Different
Luna,
question, different show. Marcel, closing thoughts.
Luna Terra project is decentralized. Those magic internets, I never heard of them.
MIMS. Marcel, any closing thoughts
my
today?
closing statement would just be like, it's right out there. Long-term trajectory is still up. Crypto's long-term. Nothing's changed for me. Again, dollar cost averaging, taking profits when your coin goes up 5, 10x. Like, gee, please take some profits, man.
I'm going to go with the other way around. If you bought some Metaverse coin or whatever, solely based on some influencer or, I don't know, some post on Reddit or social comment that you thought it was magical or the next coin, and it's down like 30 to 40%, just get out of the position and go to either Bitcoin or Ethereum or mixed positions, but go to a safer coin. Because if the market rallies and you're stuck with a coin that's dead, you're going to regret a lot.
Great point. That gives me some insights. I'm on the fence about a few things right now, down on a few positions. So Marcel, I think I'm going to take your guidance on this one. Not financial advice, but this has been an awesome show. No one went broke taking profits. Make sure you keep your head on a swivel out there, folks. We love having you here. We appreciate everyone chiming in, giving us your thoughts, your insights, your comments, your questions. Make sure you're tuning in next week. We love you all. This has been the Market Report. Until next time, thank you guys.